This is Algebra 1. We are on lesson 2-5 today. So we are talking about those two-step equations that we talked about in 2-4, but now turned into word problems. All right, so we already know a lot of vocabulary from Unit 1 about adding and subtracting. I just want to do a little bit of review on multiplication because that's going to be the really key part of today. And also we have an equals. How do we say equals in math? So go ahead and just write these down. So when I multiply, a few different ways to write that is per. So I made this many per this many. Like there are 5 pepperonis per pizza or something like that. You can also use the word every. Every pizza has this many pepperonis. Or you can say each. Each pizza has this many pepperonis. And then equals. The big key giveaway to write an equal sign is the word is. So if you say 12 is 2 more than 3, which is incorrect, but 12 is 2 more than x, for example, you say 12 is 2 more than x. You literally write an equal sign wherever you see an is. So if you see an is, turn it into an equal sign. And we have a bunch of examples. We have example 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 2 on the front, 2 on the back. Let's work through these and see if we can figure them out. For each example, you're not only going to be writing an equation, but you're going to be solving that equation. Each of these equations will have exactly one variable. There's no y equals something something. It's just one variable. It'll tell you in the problem what that variable is, and we'll have to solve it. So I need a beautiful voice. All of us have beautiful voices. So anyone want to raise their hand? Yeah, Gunnar, go for it.
Riley works at a pizza restaurant where every pizza has 20 pepperonis. That day, 3 pizzas had to be thrown away, but of the remaining pizzas, there were a total of 920 pepperonis. Write an equation that determines the number of pizzas that Riley made that day.
All right, cool. So everyone understands the general idea. We know how many pepperonis each pizza has, but there are 3 that had to be thrown away. All right, and then 920 applies to the pizzas that were not thrown away. All right, and we're going to use P somewhere in our equation, and that's going to stand for pizzas. All right, so is there any of these keywords, per, every, each, or is, in here that we can underline that you see? There's one of those words in there. You see it, Jennifer? Go for it. Every, yeah. So go ahead and underline this word. Where every pizza has 20 pepperonis, which means we're going to be multiplying 20 and pizza. All right, we know what pizza is. Pizza is which variable? Quiet raised hand. What is pizza represented by? I see Gunnar knows. I see Andres knows. Monte, tell me what pizza means, or what variable it is. P. Okay, so this is going to be P. We know I'm going to have 20. So somewhere in here, I can just write it right in the center if I want. I'm going to have 20P, and you can write that as well. 20 times P is 20P. We have part of the equation set up. And before I move too far, I need to make sure that I'm giving XP away. So Monse, that was 50 XP. Who else do I need to give XP to? I gave XP. Oh, Jennifer, that's right. Jennifer. And there's 50. All right. All right. What other information have we not used? There's 2 other numbers that we haven't used. Which 2 numbers are they? Someone point them out to us. We've used 20. We've used P. There's 2 other numbers in that equation that we haven't used. Fernando?
3 and 920.
Yeah, so somehow we need to use 3 and 920. All right. And how can we work that into an equation? Anyone else? 3 and 920. What about that works in our equation? 20p represents 20 pepperonis per pizza. So right now, this represents the total numbers of pepperonis given p pizzas. If I have 1 pizza, I have 20 pepperoni. If I have 2 pizzas, I have 40 pepperonis. Right now, we just have number of pepperonis. All right, so how are we going to work in the 3 and 920? Anyone have an idea? No. And that's okay, it's our first example, but by our next example, there should be a few more hands. So we need to somehow subtract this 3 pizzas because 3 pizzas thrown away. Thrown away sounds like it's a subtraction. So thrown away, I'm going to put a minus sign above that. Thrown away means I'm somehow going to subtract 3 from p. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to set up some parentheses, and I'm going to say p minus 3. So now this quantity inside the parentheses represents the number of pizzas that I actually sold that didn't get thrown away. I threw away 3, so outside the parentheses, this whole thing means how many pizzas do I have left after throwing away those 3. I'm going to multiply by 20, and when I have the remaining pizzas and I multiply by 20, that's going to be the total pepperonis that you actually sold that day without throwing away. So somehow there needs to be an equal sign in this. It doesn't matter if it's on the left or the right. I'm just going to randomly, arbitrarily say I'm going to put it on the left. So how many should this be equal to? So 20 times p minus 3 without doing the distribution, using some other piece of information from our example, what should I have equal here? What do I put right there? It's the only other number that we haven't used in our example. Sergio.
920.
920. Now let's take a step back and analyze what we just did here. This equation is saying 920 is the number of pepperoni when I take away 3 from the total number of pizzas that I made that day, because I had to throw 3 away. I multiplied those remaining number of pizzas by 20, and that should be the number of pepperonis that I actually sold that day. So this equation does make sense. So on the problem set tonight, you are going to have to be making these equations. If you just want to jump straight to the answer, you only have half of it. You need to be able to create this equation. And if it sounds hard, it's because it is. And we're going to get practice so that we can actually be able, so that we'll be able to do this. So now it's asking to find the number of pizzas that Riley actually made that day. So now I need to solve for p. P represents the number of pizzas he sold that day. I'm solving for p. So I have my equation. What am I going to do to both sides? Or maybe I'm going to deal with the right-hand side first. What should I be doing? I see one hand, and this is review now. Now we have set up this equation with multiple steps. I see 2 hands. I want to see more hands. This is review now. There's 3 hands. I want to see at least one more hand. What do I do? Cohen. Divide by 20. Okay, so I'm going to reset up my problem here. 920 is equal to 20 times p minus 3. And then Cohen told us, let's divide both sides by 20. So divide the right side by 20. Divide the left side by 20. These 20s should cancel out. And I'm left on the, I'm going to copy down my equal sign also. On the right-hand side, I have p minus 3 because I cancel out my 20s. Now I have to figure out what 920 divided by 20 is. Here's a cool trick. And by the way, we don't have calculators today, so if you need to use calculators, I apologize. Here's a cool trick. If you have a 0 and a 0, you can cancel those out. I'm dividing the top and bottom by 10 here. Now I have the problem 92 divided by 2. 92 divided by 2. If you need to do long division on the side, you can. But if you can just do this in your head, you can say, oh, well, I know what 90 divided by 2 is, and I can add that to what 2 divided by 2 is. If you can do that problem in your head, it's the same thing as 92 divided by 2. All right, so I need a quiet raise hand for 92 divided by 2. Fernando?
46.
46. What do you guys think? Thumbs up, thumbs down? It is 46, yep. 46, so Fernando, there's your XP. And I think we all did thumbs, so there's our XP for that as well. All right, I'm almost done. We've copied this much down. What am I going to do to both sides to get my final answer? Quiet raised hand. There's only one hand. There's 2 hands. There's 3 hands. There's only 3 hands. I'm going to wait until I see 5 hands. There's 4 hands. Need one more hand. Who else knows? There's 5 hands. Jose.
Plus 3 on both sides.
Yeah, add 3 on both sides. So plus 3, kind of running out of room, plus 3. And the 3's cancel out. So Jose, read the final answer.
49.
And you box it, yep. There it is. So that means Riley made 49 pizzas, and he threw away 3, so that's where the 46 came from. And then 46 times 20, that'll be the total number of pepperoni. So he made 49 pizzas. All right. All right. Any questions about number 1 before we move on to example 2? By the way, when we move to the backside, you're going to be a little bit more on your own. You're going to be working in groups. But example 2, we're still going to do together. No more questions? Okay, another voice. Who wants to read for XP? Go for it, Andres.
Alex is writing a book and has written 96 pages, which is 4 pages less than 1/5 of the number of pages Alex wants. Write an equation to determine the total number of pages P Alex wants. Find the number of pages that Alex wants.
Thank you. Yeah. All right, so we're all clear on what's going on. Alex is trying to write a book. I don't know if Alex is a guy or a girl, but it's a gender-neutral name. And we know that he's currently at 96, so he's getting there. And that's 4 pages less than 1/5 of the pages he wants, or she wants. All right, so again, we're going to have to somehow set up an equation. So we know that we're going to be dealing with the variable p, 4, 1/5, and 96. There are 4 pieces of information with an equal sign. Somehow we need to arrange those with the correct operations. All right, so 4 pages less. Let's go ahead and underline this. 4 pages less than. We know what that means. We know what that means from Unit 1, dealing with word problems. 4 pages less than. What operation am I talking about? Am I talking about addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, quiet raised hand? What operation am I talking about? 4 pages less than. Only 3 people know. Uh-oh. Maybe we need to go back and review our Unit 1. Josie? Subtraction, yeah. So this is subtraction, and it means subtract 4. This is the hard one because less than, 4 pages less than, is the reverse. So I say something minus 4. So write a minus 4 above that. Something minus 4. And what is that something? Here's that something. 1/5 of the number of pages Alex wants. 1/5 of the number of pages Alex wants. Let's go ahead and add to our notes at the very top. Another way to say multiply is using this word of. And there's that word here, 1/5 of. So I'm saying 1/5 times. So inside the parentheses that I've just written here, what is the mathematical expression that represents? 1/5 of the number of pages Alex wants. Somehow you need to convert number of pages Alex wants, maybe using a variable, and using 1/5 with the correct operation. What expression does that correlate to? What expression is that? 1/5 of the number of pages Alex wants. You want to give it a shot, Fernando? Maybe you should start here with number of pages Alex wants. What variable is that?
X.
Careful.
Wait, oh, P.
P. So that is P. So that means that the entire expression, go ahead and write this down, everyone. That's P. So this entire expression inside the parentheses is what, Fernando?
Oh, 1/5 times P.
There it is, 1/5 of P. So 1/5 times P. It was just 1/5 times P. And it also said 4 pages less than that. So there's the number of pages, but I need to do 4 less than that. So I need to subtract 4. This whole thing means subtract 4. 4 pages less than. Now we have our basic expression. I need to set that equal to something. What is that going to be equal to for XP? Let me come back and give Fernando his 50. What is this going to be equal to? I need a quiet raised hand. It's the only other piece of information I haven't used. Gunnar. There it is. Equals to 96. I could have put that on the left or the right. It doesn't really matter. I just kind of randomly chose to put on the left. Is equal to 96. I have the full equation. Very nice. And wait, did I give Gunnar? Not yet. Gunnar 50. All right, now I need to actually find the number of pages that Alex wants. I need to actually solve for P. So I'm not going to rewrite it, but what am I going to do to both sides? Quiet raised hand. What's my first step here? Only one person knows the first step. I'm trying to solve this equation now for P. Jose.
First step is +4.
Yep, +4 on both sides. So +4, +4. And when I do that, these 4s will cancel out, and I'm just going to be left with, there's my equal sign, copying that directly underneath. I have a 1/5 P, and 96 plus 4 is just 100. Good first step, all right. Jose, 50 XP. And someone else, what's the final step? What do I need to do to both sides? This can be a little bit tricky. There's 2 correct ways of saying this. Just have to find one of those correct ways. Who wants to do this one? To solve both sides. I see 1 hand. I see 2 hands. I see 3 hands. All right, Fernando.
Times 5.
Times 5, yeah. So if I multiply this side by 5, I multiply this side by 5. Multiplying by 1/5 is the same thing as dividing by 5. The opposite of dividing by 5 is multiplying by 5. Another way of saying this is you can divide both sides by 1/5, but then you have to deal with your keep it, change it, flip it rule. So I think this is maybe a little bit easier. When I multiply both sides by 5, the 5 and the 1/5 cancel each other out. 5 times 1/5 is just 1. And I need to do 5 times 100, which is 500, is equal to P. And what do you do to your final answer, Fernando? Box it. That means that Alex wanted to write 500 pages. And he's only written 96, which is 4 pages less than 1/5 the number he wanted to write, which was 500. Very nice. Make sure that all of that is written down. Fernando, there's your 50 XP. Any questions about example 2? All right, what we're going to do with example 3 on the back is we're going to have a reader read the first 2 paragraphs, not the Sam's age, first 2 paragraphs, and then we're going to split off into our groups to work on it by ourselves, and then we're going to come back as a class. So, first of all, quiet raised hand, beautiful voice, easy XP. Who wants to read it? Andres has already read. Gunner's already read. Someone new? Jose, go for it.
36 is 3 times the difference between Sam's age, 8, and 14. Assume that Sam is older than 14, right? Equation Sam's age.
All right, so there it is. We have a bunch of information. We have this keyword is. That'll probably be helping us. This keyword is. And then we have a difference. Those are some keywords there. Make sure those are underlined. Those will help us out. We're going to be working on this in our small groups. So here we go. All right, so we're back. Who wants to share their equation with the class? Lots of people. So many people. Gunner, go for it.
I got 36 equals 3 times a minus 14.
Like that?
The a minus 14 is in parentheses.
Ah, the a minus 14 is in parentheses. Yes, okay. And that is a key difference because first I need to look at the difference between Sam's age, a and 14. So first I'm going to look at a minus 14, and then after that, after I do the parentheses, then I'm going to multiply by 3 times that difference. And yeah, that's exactly how I translate it. 36 is 36 equals 3 times this quantity. This quantity is the difference between Sam's age, a and 14. That's where our parentheses were set up. Perfect. So thank you, Gunner. Oops, that's the wrong page. Now, can someone help me solve this? Walk me through the problem. What do I do to both sides? Jose.
Divide by 3.
Divide both sides by 3. So I divide this side by 3, divide that side by 3. And what do I have on the left, Jose?
12.
And then equals to,
A minus 14.
lag there, a minus 14. There it is because those 3's cancel each other out. All right, that was a good first step. So thank you, Jose. I need another participant to tell me what to do. Share the XP. Only one person knows? Uh-oh. Sergio.
Plus 14 on both sides.
Plus 14 on both sides. And what do you get?
26 equals 8.
And
Box here.
box your answer. There it is. That means that Sam's age, A, is 26. Sam is 26 years old. Sergio. Cool. All right. So I need an enthusiastic reader because there's a ton of exclamation points. There's an exclamation point here and here. Enthusiastic reader. Who wants to read this? Easy XP here. Slightly harder than normal reading. You need some gusto. No one wants to do it? Yeah, there it is. Ah, enthusiastic. Yeah.
Today each pie costs $1.25 less than the original price. Right now, if you buy 8 of those, it will only cost you $112.
There it is. Yeah, good job.
What illustration determine the price of each pie?
Yeah. All right. So we have a lot of basic things. I'll underline some keywords that you'll have to translate here. Actually, I took out. Oh, there it is. So there's the keyword each right there. I'll help you find that, and that's all I'm going to help you out with. So again, you're going to be working on this with your groups, and then we'll come back as a class. All right. So, quiet raise hand. Who wants to volunteer their equation? Monse?
Okay. 112 equals 8. And then parentheses p minus 1.25.
And parentheses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll talk about why this is correct. So let me come back over here to give Monse your XP. All right, yeah, so $112 is the total cost. 112 is the total cost when I do the following things. Well, first, each pie, P, has to be subtracted by 1.25 because we have a discount going on. 1.25 is the discount for each of these P's. After I do the discount, I'm buying 8 of them. That 8 multiplies after I do the discount, which is why the discount is inside parentheses. Perfect. So everyone has this written down on their paper or some form of this. What am I going to do to both sides? Andres.
Plus 1.25. Oh, no, I mean, alright, so you gotta divide 8.
Divide by 8?
Both sides.
Okay, so divide that side by 8. Divide that side by 8.
8 cancel out.
8 will cancel out, so I'll do that. That cancels out with that.
And then P equals P minus 1.25.
Minus 1.25.
And I think 112 divided by 8 is 14.
14. Ooh, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
Let's
I
see.
did the-
We'll do thumbs on this one. 112 divided by 8. 112 divided by 8. Thumbs up, thumbs down. If you don't know because you can't see that fast, that's okay. You can do thumbs in the middle. I'm curious to see what other people are getting. Lots of thumbs in the middle, but a lot of people that weren't voting. Okay, so this is how you can do 112 divided by 8. This is how Mr. Sindel does his math. I say, oh, I know that 80 goes into 112, and what's left after that 112 is going to be 32. 80 plus 32 is equal to 112. We can all nod our heads. Okay, we believe you because that makes sense. Well, now I can divide both of those by 8. 80 divided by 8, well, that's 10. 32 divided by 8, oh, well, that's 4. Oh, a little bit of lag there. 10 plus 4 is indeed 14, so that is the answer, yeah, 14. All right, so really close. Andres, let me make sure to give you your XP. Last step that I need to do, someone help me out. Only one person knows? Uh-oh. 2 people know. A lot of people are still writing it down, so I want to give you time to write down and then think about what to do to the next step. Last step is to do what, Fernando?
Plus 1.5 on both sides.
1 point what?
2.5.
1.25. 0.25 plus 1.25. And we got, Fernando, what was the left-hand side equal to? 15.25. And you? Box your final answer. Yep, so that was the original price of each pie. It was $15.25. There it is. All right. So summaries can be pretty short. Maybe talk about steps that were new today. Maybe talk about these keywords, maybe equals is, something like that. Short summary, and then we can work on the homework.